I'm Dr. Craig Escudé, the host of IDD Health Matters, a podcast where we talk about health, wellness, and health equity for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Hope you enjoy it. Welcome to this episode of IDD Health Matters. We're coming to you from the American Academy of Developmental Medicine and Dentistry Conference in Denver, Colorado. And I have with us today a fantastic guest who also happens to be the MC for the conference, Hing.
Hi.
Welcome, Kim.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
It has been fantastic watching you work. And what else? All right, so you MC things, you're a speaker. Tell us about yourself and who you are.
My name is Kim Hing, and I am an athlete leader with Special Olympics Northern California, global ambassador. So I get to go and give speeches to educate people about Special Olympics, encourage them to participate. I also help, spread the word about inclusivity, both just in life in general and also for healthcare. I have just came back recently from going to the Sacramento for Capitol Hill Day because we got some money from the state government in California for Special Olympics. So we went with some other athletes to thank the different representatives and senators for that. I have done the virtual Capitol Hill Day for the federal government during the pandemic, and I am also on the board of directors for Special Olympics Northern California. I MC various events, like almost all the events, or co-MC them for Special Olympics Northern California. The big one that I did relatively recently was last year in June's the Summer Games. That would had like over 800 people there. And okay, you all might be too young, but there's this football player. His name is Ronnie Lott, Hall of Famer, was a 49er, was a Raider, like this phenomenal football player. Have you heard of Ronnie Lott?
I haven't, but I'm not really into football, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Neither am I, but like Ronnie Lott and Jerry Rice, Joe Montana.
I know those names.
That era, those three. So anyways, I got to introduce him because he was the keynote speaker for Summer Games that year, and I introduced him, and then we danced a little on stage, and then he gave his speech. That was incredibly wonderful, so much fun. And let's see, what else do I do? I am a part-time teacher at an after-school company. It's like academic enrichment. So I teach reading to second and third graders, and then I have a variety of different grades. I do one-on-one tutoring in writing.
That's a lot. That's a lot. One of the things that, like I said, I've enjoyed so much is just watching you MC because you're so good at it. It's just natural for you, and you handle sometimes the mic doesn't work or something happens, but you just handle those in such stride, and you make jokes about it, and you make people laugh, you make people feel good. That's a great skill.
Thank you. Thank you very
job.
much. I really appreciate that. You're very kind.
Yeah.
I want it to be a good time for people. I want people to have fun. I want them to be excited. I don't want people to be bored, and I don't want people to feel stressed out that, what's going on? But the slide's not coming up. What are we going to do? I was like, it's okay. We'll have some fun, little intermission time here. It'll get back up and running, and then we'll carry on, right?
And you know what? One of the other things that I like that you do is you really listen to the person that you've introduced, and then you come back up there and you talk about some points that they made. To make a little short recap of important points. Some of the speeches today were extremely comprehensive, and it would have been like giving the keynote all over again because there were so many points that were given. So I just tried to pick a couple of them that really resonated with me, and then present them to the people in attendance. That's a great way to do it. So you mentioned that you had...
Did I tell you I love kitties? I've got 2 kitty cats. Just got to throw that in there. How could I forget to mention my kitty cats? Brookie Brooke, she's my little long-haired girl. She is 1 year, 7 months. And then Cindy Cinnamon the Cinnabon is my short-haired, mischievous troublemaker.
big boy kitty.
They sound like they're good companions. What color are they?
They are tabbies. So Cinnamon is like brown, vertical stripes. He's got white on his chest, some white on his belly, and then he's got the white paws, the white socks. Sorry, I moved the mic away from my face. And then Brookie Brooke, I don't know if she's a Torby, like she's part tabby, part tortoiseshell, because I can't make up my mind. She does not have any white on her though, just black and kind of like brown.
Cats have very interesting personalities.
These two kitties, completely different personalities, like not even the same.
Yeah, we had two of them before, and one of them was just a lush and just wanted you to hold her all the time so she didn't have to walk. And the other one won't let you touch her. And I mean, you can touch her, but she does not like to be picked up at all. And they were sisters.
My cats don't like to be picked up either. And like Brookie Brooke, she does not want to like be on my lap at all. She wants me to pet her, but I gotta lean over and like pet her while she's lying on the floor. Like I gotta bend over. I'm like, can't you just get up here? No, bend over. But she likes tummy rubs, belly rubs.
Yeah. Well, who doesn't? I mean, come on.
Well, some cats lie like this, right?
Right.
And it's like, they want a belly. And if you like touch their belly, then they just, they'll scratch you up. So.
All right. So going back to Special Olympics.
Tangent over.
That was a good tangent. Going back to Special Olympics, you were an athlete?
Yes.
What sports?
I participate in sports year-round because Special Olympics has seasons. So if you want, you can be in all kinds of different sports as a year-round. Right now, I'm doing track and field. And then our tournament is on May 21st. That's a Sunday coming up. And I hadn't been swimming in forever, had not been in a pool in over 10 years. And I thought, I kind of want to try swimming, but I don't know how it's going to be. So I've been going to some of the practices. It is a workout. It is like track. We like run 100 and then we sit around for 20 minutes, right? and then we're like, we'll run a 200 and then like we sit around for like a half hour. But like swimming is like back and forth. The first practice I went was like 45. I'm like, what time is it? Are we almost done? Yeah. And she's like, no. I'm like, like I did a couple more laps and then I'm just kind of like hanging on the wall. And she looks at me and she goes, Kim, are you done? I'm like, yeah. She's like, okay, get out of the pool. But now I've been to like 4 practices and now I can do the whole 2 hours.
All right.
But like that first practice. Okay, so that's like right now. I'm not competing in that. And then I love bocce. I love to do bocce. However, this year they only had 20 slots and 60 people signed up. So I didn't get to do bocce. And then next will be... I tried golf last year, so I'm going to do golf again this year, and softball. And then in the fall, there's bowling, which if they have it on a time that doesn't conflict with my work schedule, I'll do bowling. And then flag football. I'd never thrown a football in my life before. And then 2 seasons ago, I tried flag football. It's fun. And since it's all got the divisioning, I'm not put with the pros. And then I love floor hockey, and so floor hockey comes after flag football, and then we've got basketball.
Okay,
so,
is there any sport that you just say, no, I'm not going to do this? No matter what. Tennis? That's my favorite sport.
Well, then you got to show me, because
I'd love to play tennis.
When we had to do it in high school, every time I hit it, it went over the fence, and I kept having to go around outside the fence, get the ball, come all the way back. That was just my exercise, just going around, getting the ball and coming back. So I was like, no, tennis is not.
Well, with you being able to do all of these others, I bet if you practiced, you could get tennis down pat.
Well, okay, you need to come coach.
All right, that's a deal.
Okay.
All right, that's a deal. So we didn't talk about this much, but I think you mentioned that you were diagnosed with autism.
Yes, I'm autistic.
At some point in life, later in life, right?
Yes.
Can you talk about that experience?
The diagnosis process?
Well, yeah, but more. What led you to the point of getting diagnosed, and did it change you in any way, having that diagnosis?
Okay, so I had a therapist, and she had a teenager who had Asperger's, and one day she said, I'm noticing a lot of similarities between me. I'm noticing a lot of similarities between you and this teenager that is also my client. And I said, oh, that's interesting. What's Asperger's? And then, so I looked it up in the DSM-4, which is now no longer in existence because it got changed to DSM-5. Yep. And then I just didn't think much about it. And then I later on, quite a number of years later on, I decided I'm gonna look into this. And so it was hard to find someone to do the diagnosis. Okay. You have to find someone who is familiar and experienced. And for anybody looking for a diagnosis, that is critical. You need to have someone who specializes in autism, especially if you're a woman, particularly if you're a person of color, which I'm a woman and I am a person of color, because we just don't present differently like the little white boys.
Sure.
So
it's more common in boys.
It's really not. I don't think. It's just that when it was established, the only people that they were observing were little white boys. So if you're a female or a person of color, you aren't necessarily going to fit
even looked at.
that pattern. Yeah. And, it depending on what your behaviors are, they're not even going to think autism, they're just going to think behavioral issue and not even go down this other path that could be something. So I decided to do it, and I looked. I was going to say the reason why you want to do that is because there are lots of stories about people who go to get a diagnosis and they don't get it. But a lot of those people aren't really going to a specialist
someone who really understands
autism.
The nuances of the diagnosis.
Exactly. Yeah. But I also think that a lot of people these days are getting on the computer and which I didn't do, I don't know what they're like, but are taking these self-tests on the computer and then deciding that they are autistic. And I think that if someone does that and then they go to a quote unquote professional and that person doesn't diagnose them, then they're just angry and because they're convinced that they're autistic and then they don't get the diagnosis. And I think, sure, okay, maybe you are autistic, but then I think, well, there's a lot of other things that you could have that aren't necessarily autism. So I don't know, but I did get my diagnosis in my 40s, and it just explains so much.
That's what I was going to ask you. So how did that impact you? Was it scary at all, or was it kind of comforting in a way?
I did not find it scary. I just found it kind of relieving that there was an explanation for the way I am. I'm still convinced I'm an alien. I am an alien. I am waiting to go home to the mother planet. Because I am just so different than the rest of the world. I don't. You say things to me and I don't understand. I say things to people they don't understand. It's I am just not in the same realm, I think, of most people.
Well, we all have our unique traits and characteristics, and I however different you say you are, you're the most pleasantly delightful, different person that I've ever met. You're just a joy to talk to.
You don't know how much that means to me.
I mean, it's great.
I had a job with a ski area right here in Colorado, and I was a bus driver, and then it was the end of the season, right? And so you had your performance review, and they said, we will not hire you for another season because you have a bad personality. Oh, so I have lived with that more than half my life, and it has been ingrained in my head that I have a bad personality.
Uningrained, because I've known you for a couple of years now, and I could never imagine someone saying that.
That was before I knew I was autistic, and I think being autistic most definitely contributed to having that dynamic where I was not presenting or coming across the way that they wanted somebody to be.
And jobs aren't, every job is not a right fit for every person, and
That's
if
true.
If we're in a job
That's true.
that maybe is not the best fit for us, we may not be the happiest, and we may act differently. So, did you really love that job, or not so much?
I was fine. I liked it. I did like. I got to go skiing.
Oh, well, that's a nice part.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I love skiing. So I like that. So I was disappointed, and again, being told you have a bad personality was wow.
Yeah. Nobody
Wow.
needs to hear that.
That was a very impactful thing to have told me.
Sure.
And it, like I said, it's affected me the majority of my life, living with that as something that,
Well-
your boss said. But I have had people not even related to like jobs that have said, I don't get you. So that's why I'm waiting to go home to the mother planet.
All right, Kim. One of the things I like to do is something I call 3 in 3. So in 3 minutes, I'm going to ask you to tell.
Are you timing me?
No.
Okay.
But I just talk like that.
Okay.
I talk like I am. So don't worry about it.
You got this big watch.
No penalties or anything like that.
Okay. All right.
But 3 things in about 3 minutes that you want listeners to know about health.
Does it have to be 3?
No, I'm not going to hold you to anything.
Can I have like 55?
No, you can't have 55 either.
But there's so many things.
Maybe the next time we talk.
You're gonna like restrict me. That's
all right. Everybody needs parameters sometimes. So, all right. So 3 things in 3 things in 3 minutes that you want the listeners to know about improving the world for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Ready, set, go.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Number 1, we exist. You might not see us on a regular basis because a lot of us are kind of hidden away from society, but we are here. We are out there, and please get to know us, interact with us, come talk to us. We will probably change what you envision a person with IDD is like. We have many positive aspects, and please don't think we do not have strengths and things that we can contribute to society, to life. We make up the vibrancy and the diversity that all societies need to really thrive. We're here, we're gonna stay, and in this day and age, you can't put us in a little box and throw us away anymore. We are gonna make our presence known. The other thing is April was just Autism Awareness Month, and now a lot of times, mostly it's being referred to as Autism Acceptance Month, because like most people are pretty much aware now that autism does exist, and we want it to be accepted as being autistic and for who we are, and that we are going to be different. We aren't going to process information the same way as what we call a neurotypical person who does not have autism, and to, I guess, embrace, is that the proper word?
Yeah.
Like embrace like who we are, because okay, so we're different, but that difference gives us a different perspective on the world and on life, and that is able to let us problem solve and take us into different places that might not be considered, and that is going to be really useful in solving issues and problems in the world today. The other thing is accept that just because you have in your head the way you think an autistic person should be, please remember it's a spectrum, and where somebody might not be verbal, might not use speech, they might use some other
way to
sign language,
yeah,
or one of these other communication devices. That does not mean that they do not have high functionality, high strengths, and all these other kinds of things, whereas somebody who, like me, is capable of using speech and verbalizing things does not mean I do not have a lot of issues and difficulties in other areas of my life. So
please realize it's a spectrum, and we all have our peaks and our valleys. So yeah, please don't dismiss. Just don't dismiss that. The other thing, I'm going on long. I'm more than 3 minutes, but please, like, I say, oh yeah, I'm autistic, time and time again. You're not autistic. No way, you're not autistic. Please ask my doctor, because he's going to tell you I am autistic. So please don't dismiss what somebody says they are. Okay, so I think that was 2, and I'm out of time. So to be continued at another later.
There was more like 4, and I'd love to talk to you forever.
4?
But let's save.
4?
I think so, but it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Let's save the others for another time when we get together. How about that?
Are you sure there's going to be another time?
I sure hope so. I mean, how are you going to learn to play tennis if there's not another time that we get together,
that's
right?
True. That's true. Okay, so we're going to have to be someplace where there's a tennis court.
Yeah,
I want to introduce you all to my buddy here. This is Mr. Whitebeard. When I first met him, I could not remember his name, and he has a white beard, so he was Mr. Whitebeard. And when he came up to me and he's like, "Hey Kim, you remember me, Mr. Whitebeard?" We were playing hangman, and his words were Whitebeard. Yeah, he's excellent.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today.
You're very welcome.
Thank you for the work that you do in this field.
Thank you.